Hey Elena, Penniless Cripple here. I'm addressing this video to everyone really, but I'm going to kind of focus on you, just get the conversation started, because I think you're cute and funny and honest. I've been watching you for about 3 or 4 months. You have a brave presence on YouTube. So this isn't about personalities, it's about an important question. You spoke of wanting an exchange on perceived stereotypes, and I've looked at stereotypes all my life, but the truth is, Elena, old, young, black, white, Hispanic, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, we're all on the same train. So I don't care about stereotypes anymore, because we're all on this train, as Zach says, and or as the writer Alan Gerganis said the other day, we're all in the same canoe, and some of us can hear the roar of Niagara Falls in the distance. But many of us are looking at the pretty mist in the woods, or we're readjusting our seat cushions so we'll be more comfortable, or we're ridiculing the people who swear they can hear the falls approaching, or we're debating with them, oh no, there's no falls, look, the water is placid. So really, to hell with stereotypes, but let's talk about archetypes. In Zach's video, he spoke of the archetype of the angry young man telling the older generation to wake up. And it helps to talk about archetypes, not stereotypes, because stereotypes divide people into camps. Archetypes are much more objective. They're roles that we choose to play. They're expansive. Stereotypes are roles we're forced into by society. They're limiting and oppressive. So we all inhabit archetypes. One that you take on is the grumpy princess. Another is the middle-class, contented consumer housewife who loves to go to the mall and loves her ATM machine, as you said in one of your comments. And I want to know, Elena, through the eyes of that archetype, how does that archetype view this canoe? Can you help us see this? What's it going to take for that archetype to get that the falls are approaching? Does knowing that the big fish in our seas have decreased by 90%, does that make a difference? Does it have to be 95%, 99%? What's the tipping point there? Does knowing that there's more plastic than plankton in our seas make a difference? Does knowing that the government is selling our trees, our national forests, to corporations make a difference? How many mountains have to be blown up? Isn't one mountain too many to blow up? With close to 400 mountains have been blown up now in the Appalachian Range. They're gone. Does knowing that we're in the middle of a mass extinction make a difference? We're losing species every day, and one day the human race will be that species. At what point, Elena, will this archetype of the contented consumer housewife hear the falls? And I'm also interested in anyone's response, but I'm also interested especially in the archetype of the bored youth who looks for diversion. So if this particular video happens to be one of your diversions and you've stayed with it this long, I would so love to hear from you. When are we going to see and hear those falls and realize that the only way for us to survive is for us to figure out a way to steer the canoe in another direction? For many of us, that simply means to put the paddle down. If you're paddling us closer to the falls, put down the paddle. For others, or you could paddle backwards. For others, that means to figure out some way to steer the boat down another channel. So finally, Elena, you say you have no children. I don't either, but I see all the children on the planet as my children, and the grandchildren, and the great-grandchildren, and the great-great-grandchildren. And I want to know, how are we going to look those children in the face? How are we going to tell them, yes, babies, we saw this coming, and not only did we see it coming and know about it, but we did nothing. And not only did we do nothing, but we accelerated the process. We did more of the same shit that put us in this mess in the first place. Those grandchildren and great-grandchildren, they're not going to care about how funny we were on YouTube, or how many subscribers we had, or how many personal watercraft we had, or how big our home entertainment system was. They're only going to have one question: how did you let this happen? How did it happen? What were you doing, or what were you thinking? The alternative, which I am completely and totally for, is that those same children will say, oh my God, you guys, thank you so much. Look what you did. Look what you stopped doing. Look how aware and awake you were. Look how much you cared about us. and look at the world we have now. We all want a better life for our children. I mean, that's, the 1950s, that's what it was all about, is that everybody wanted a better world for their children. When we now see that the culture that came out of that 1950s culture, the consumer culture, is not a better life. We didn't know that now. We know that now. And can we define what the better life is? We've forgotten. I mean, it's in us, but we've forgotten. So we need to remember that. So anyway, this is just the beginning of what I hope is an ongoing conversation. It's really, to me, the only conversation that matters. All other conversations are secondary. So help us out, Elena. Can you give us some insight into this archetype? What is that archetype in the canoe thinking? I don't get it. What is it that is not understood or not felt? The truth is good. So I know that you'll help us. I know you'll fashion a thoughtful response as you always do. I appreciate your time. Bye.